Hello, Middlers. That went bad timing.
It was alright.
It was alright. Cool. That was
You
good.
can see my peripheral.
Yeah. So here we are. Our most popular video currently on our site is Lords of Hellas. Every time.
I'm impressed you get
Yeah.
the title right now.
Versus Scythe. We did it as a bit of a let's see how it goes down, and it's gone down well. So Adam from Die Rolling
Instagram. Put it somewhere on the bottom.
I'll put it on the bottom. What we'll do is we'll link in the description to Adam's page on Instagram, where he does an awful lot of different board games. And I'd hate to think how many board games you've got. I think the official number is 80, but the unofficial number is way more.
I have a problem.
Yeah, you have a real problem. So anyway, why are we here? What are we going to do?
So we are going to compare two other games. This time we are comparing Rising Sun with Battle for Rokugan.
Awesome, and of course that's a Fantasy Flight game, so that's going to be definitely more expensive than this Cool Mini or Not
You
game.
think that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, this Fantasy Flight game here is half the price of this Cool Mini or Not game over there.
I remember when this came out on Kickstarter, and I nearly backed it, but I looked at all the minis and I thought, oh, there's quite a lot of minis there, but I'm not totally convinced.
So essentially these two games are the same type of game. They're both area control games. They're both set in feudal Japan. The only real difference here is price, and this one over here has miniatures in it and monsters in it. This one just has cardboard tokens.
So I think we need to try and answer 4 questions. Are they value for money? In their own right, and which of the two overall? Second one is which is the easiest to set up? Thirdly, how easy is it to learn? I've not played either one of these games at all.
And what was the 4th question you had to ask?
The 4th question simply was which was the best? Which one did we enjoy the most? You know, I know this was really hyped, but I know I was really close to backing it. This one I've seen a couple of times. I never really looked at it. You know, I always felt, well, if I was going to buy one, I'd buy this one. But the price of this put me off. So, yeah.
And for me, I initially bought this one due to the fact that it was around £30 when I bought it. And I'd heard some really good reviews that this is actually quite a good strategy game. But I was put off from buying Rising Sun because it is quite a hefty price.
So I think typically Fantasy Flight create a good game. Cool Mini or Not, again, they've always created good games in my opinion. Some are a little bit samey. I think if you look at Starcadia Quest versus Arcadia Quest, I think you can see a bit of a theme there. But ultimately, I'm really excited.
Cool.
Let's play. Hello. So we got it out of the box.
This is Battle for Rokugan, or Rokugan.
So one of the things that absolutely struck me was A, how small the box was, and B, for Fantasy Flight, they had their atypical sort of divider. And my first question was, well, where are the meeples and where are the statues? And you were like,
this is it. All your kind of characters you're using, all your soldiers and stuff, that all these little tokens. So there's no plastic components or anything. It's all literally just tokens in this game.
And I asked if it came with the baggies. We weren't sure, so we're not going to say whether or not the baggies were in it. One of the things that does strike me is that this is going to be really easy to, once it's organised, to put into the box. You can see I've got put half the stuff in the box, and that's basically put away. I know for those of you that I really like, I'm the same. I hate if I put my stuff away like this, I'd go absolutely mad. Yeah, for the purposes of what we're doing on the camera right now, that just shows how much space there is in this box. There isn't a nice organiser in here, but it's still pretty decent. I think one of my favourite bits about this game so far is actually this guard to hide away what's going on. And I like the fact that inside it actually gives you some description of what's going on. I always feel like a really good game to me is one that gives you something for each player to be able to reference the rules.
Yeah, so a player aid, you need to be able to show players what they're doing rather than having to look at the rule book all the time.
I think the other nice feature is it's actually colour coded to the tokens as well. So you know, that's a really nice feature from Fantasy Flight.
And the final thing I'd like to note is the rulebook, which is 12 pages long.
Which is I don't know what, it really worries me, because again with Fantasy Flight, you know, I've played Imperial Assault, I've played Mansion of Madness, and one of the things that I really find is that I have to keep going back to the rulebook over and over and over again when you're playing it. And especially when you're playing a campaign of Imperial Assault, it can feel like a game with death by rulebook.
100%. Mansion of Madness, most of the flight, so the Fantasy Flight games, the rulebooks are quite thick. I mean, Imperial Assault comes with 4 rulebooks, I think, covering different topics. But this one is 12 pages long. It's fairly easy to play, fairly easy to set up, basic rules, but it's a fun game to play.
I think this looks like it's something that's going to be easy to set up. I'm looking forward to playing it. I've had a brief look through the rulebook. It looks to be comprehensive. It looks simple. It looks well laid out. It looks really clear. It's this is how you set it up. Sorry, I got lost in the rulebook.
Well, there we go. So the rulebook, in comparison to this is Rising Sun, magically set up before your eyes. The first thing we notice here, the rulebook is actually 26 pages long.
Yes.
So it's over double the size of Battle for Rokugan. So we'll see when we play this if the complexity warrants that.
And it's got the setup. It talks about playing the seasons. It talks about political phases. It seems to have some clear explanation, but whether or not, again, you know, whether or not it covers all the rules, we'll find out. Sometimes the bigger the rule book doesn't necessarily mean it's clearer or any more obvious.
Yeah. So here's all the components out here. So we've got Call Me or Not are known for their minis, hence their name. So up here we've got some of the more intricate kind of miniatures there, and then everyone, rather than tokens like you did in Battle for Rokugan, you actually have miniatures representing your soldiers, your daimyo, and your Shinto, who are your priests.
One of the things I noticed, Adam, when you were getting out of the box, was the fact that the box is kind of up here and it wasn't actually properly sealed.
Yeah. So once you've got all this out, it's very hard to get this back in and get the box down tight, mainly due to the fact that you'll have a bunch of tokens in there which you're going to need to put into some kind of baggie like I have here, so they're not going to be spread out everywhere. You can buy organisers for this game which cost the same amount as the actual game itself, or you can make your own kind of storage solutions here, but I definitely recommend doing something about it.
And I think, you know, I was really anti buying the storage solutions for my game, and then I bought Imperial Assault and I played it, and then I spent half my time like setting my game up and then putting it away. And the problem I have with games that don't come with good storage solutions is that, again, I think it takes the kill out of an evening. If you're trying to if you've got like, I've got my games, you've got yours, and if you spend like half hour before and then have to spend half hour at the end, like setting the game up and taking out the bags and the box. So yeah, storage solutions, absolutely key, critical for big games like this. And you always have to, I think you have to take that into account when you're budgeting as well, the extra cost, because at the end of the day, if you've painted these and they're running around in your box, then you're going to be upset. I know that these come in their own package, but the problem with these boxes and then you put them in here and then you have to put all the other components in, is that you really end up really limited on space and you end up losing a lot of time on a games night setting stuff up. But then that said, you know, when you're talking £40 to £80 for maybe something from Broken Token, then that's quite a lot of money, and sometimes another board game, so it's quite a difficult decision, right?
Exactly. There are obviously other storage solutions rather than Broken Token, and you can also look on YouTube and you'll find ways people have creatively done it, or Board Game Geek, you can find homemade storage solutions which don't cost you the same price of the game. And
maybe you've got your own homemade storage solution for this game, or maybe you created one, or maybe you've got your own link to how to create one. Put that below. You know, we very much of this channel are about sharing and promoting other people's ideas, and if you've got your own storage solution for not just Rise of the Sun but maybe another game, please feel free to put that below.
So, for everybody, 5. There's another 20.
Beginner's luck.
Sure, yeah. So that's Rising Sun. How long do you think that took us to play?
It took about an hour and a half to play, including setup.
Yeah, okay.
So it took about half hour for setup, and then it took about 25 minutes for setup, and then the rest of it was gameplay. There's a bit of toing and froing at the beginning, but as we got into the rounds were actually quite quick. I think you could suffer a bit from analysis paralysis. That's a word.
Analysis paralysis.
On the game. It was close. I spent a lot of the game thinking, well, Adam's got this, or Will's going to sneak in, and somehow I don't. I honestly, I don't know. The thing is, I was winning these, and I, zoned out when we were talking about what they actually meant. So I was just winning them like blasé, but actually it turned out that was the winning move, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's learning curve for this. I don't think it's too high. Like at first, there's a lot of things going on, and it's when you have an area control game, you do kind of need to know what all these different things mean. So it could be a little overwhelming to begin with. And obviously, when I was reading the rules at the beginning, it did seem like there was a lot going on.
It felt harder than, and I find this with a lot of games, is that when you first start out in this hobby and you start reading the rules, you think, wow, this is hard. And I honestly think this is like, so Jo's like not a massive board gamer, and she didn't really like board gaming, and one of the big reasons is she says it just feels really complicated. But I think if she played this game, and it's a shame she didn't come along and play, but I think if she played this game, she would have really enjoyed it, and she would have found it really easy to pick up.
There's a lot of times I've had a game for a while and not played it because I've looked at the rule book and gone, that looks really complicated. But yeah, I think the rules were laid out fairly well, and it wasn't, I think after a couple of turns, after a couple of rounds, we figured out how to play this. So yeah.
I don't think there was anything that's particularly OP. I really like the tea party element to it, and I really like the betrayal card. I really did think at first, I was like, oh, that's really OP, but actually, as you get further into the game, it suddenly becomes less OP, and actually, there's some real benefit to playing it. And I think how I played that betrayal in the last round really made the difference.
Yeah, the only thing I think that could be a bit OP with regards to the game is Jamie mentioned the tea ceremony, and in this part of the game, when it's like the second kind of thing you do in it, you basically have an alliance with someone. You get to choose who you have an alliance with. Now, we played the first 2 seasons, so it's 3 seasons you play in this game. We played the first 2 seasons that Jamie and I both allied both times. And if you're in an alliance, you get some bonuses. Because Will wasn't involved in those alliances, he didn't get those bonuses. So I felt like if you have 3 players playing this game, and 2 people keep teaming up, or even if you have an odd number of players playing this, and one person is always left out of alliances, I feel like they could be left behind in the end. Like the only way because Will was trailing throughout the game, no fault of his own, because we kept having all these bonuses by being allied, and if you never ally with anyone, it can be quite hard.
So let's just talk about this game first before we get into comparisons.
Okay, so Battle for Rokugan, we had a go of that, a 3-player game like we did for Rising Sun.
Yeah.
Very similar kind of concepts, but kind of in a different, kind of done in a different way.
I think it's more emotive. I'm gonna throw it out there. This is a much more emotive game. It is exciting. Well, I enjoyed playing it. I felt like I was winning, and I had victory snatched from me.
Okay, so it was also a 12-page rulebook, which is something we mentioned at the very beginning of this.
Yeah.
It's quite a slim rulebook. However, I don't know, did we have to refer to the rulebook more in this one, or more in the Rising Sun of 26 pages? I'm not sure. I don't feel like we liked this too much.
No, I think it was very limited. You look at this, and this was a simple game. I think if you're playing games with families, I think out of the two, if you've got a young family, sort of teenage, like 10, 11 plus, then I think this is the game. I think this is the game you could get on a Sunday, and it would be enjoyable. I think if you're a bit older, I think if you're 14, 15, kids about 14, 15, then this is the game.
See, I would actually say the exact opposite to you, because I feel with Battle for Rokugan, I feel this represents more of a kind of classic Risk style game, where there's a lot more gotcha elements to it.
Yeah.
Whereas Rising Sun felt a lot more, I don't know, a lot more kind of modern in the sense of like a Scythe or a Lord of Hellas area control style game.
But I think where I agree with you and I disagree with you, and this is why this is fun, is
this is why this is fun.
Yeah, this is why this is fun. I look at this game and I think, could I explain this game to younger kids?
Yes, that's very true.
And I think I would struggle. Could I explain that game to younger kids? I think I would. Does the gotcha element style, risk style element that came across in that, would that cause a Monopoly-esque breakdown? Yeah, I think it might. So actually what we're saying is they're not suitable for any families at all.
No one should play these games, ever. So with regards to, so we spoke about how easy this is to learn, and also how was it to play? How did you find that?
Do you know what? I think emotive is the right word. I really enjoyed the game overall. I came away from it, and we have had to have 5 minutes while I just rage quit in the garden. But on reflection, I think that's the whole point of a board game, right? That's the whole point of the new genre of board games, is that we want to be challenged. We want to feel like when we've won, we've won, and when we've lost, we've lost. But it's not about winning or losing in a sense. It's whether or not we've enjoyed playing the game. I feel like I enjoyed playing the game and playing the strategy, while I may not have won, and that still hurts. You know.
Too soon. I have one question for you.
Yeah.
Would you play this again?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
And I know before getting on camera I said that I wouldn't, but the more time goes on, the more I think, ooh, actually, I enjoyed that. I want to get that out again and play it again.
Okay, so should we compare the two then? Let's have a comparison here. So I think from a very high level, these games are very similar in the sense that it's feudal Japan. This Rising Sun, it actually has monsters in it, it has gods in it. Battle for Rokugan, it doesn't really have like a mystical, it's got a bit of a mystical element to it when you're controlling certain lands. But yeah, I think this is more kind of fantasy style, I think. And gameplay wise, they played similar as well with, you know, controlling areas.
It was about area control and
victory points.
And victory points at the end of the day. So they're very similar games. They're very similar concepts, and they're in the same genre. If I would just recap over the 4 questions.
Okay. Can you remember what they were? So easy to set up.
Yeah, easy to set up. So the easy setup.
Yep.
Value for money.
Value for money. Easy to learn.
Easy to learn.
And enjoyable to play.
And enjoyable to play. So those are 4 criteria. So in terms of easy to set up, this one felt easier to set up despite having more components, because it was kind of clearer from the rule book.
Yeah.
So because that rule book was a bit bigger, and because the components were much more visual, I felt this was easier to set up.
I 100% agree with you. It was very much like, oh, you get these cards out, you put them here, you get these tokens, put them there, you do this, you do that, that was fine.
Yeah.
This one, there was a lot of kind of different tokens in there, and at first you weren't quite sure what you were doing.
It just felt a little bit clumsy, and we were piling stuff up, and then it just transpired we didn't need to do that at all. And the fact is that just didn't. But I understood that, and I think once you play the two, if this is going to be a regular game that you'd have, that you play a lot, then that's the game you pick, because once you've played it a few times with people, that's going to be easy to set up.
Yeah.
But I actually think if we're going with the honest answer, which felt the easiest to set up tonight, it was definitely this.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely Rising Sun. So value for money.
So value for money, I think again, you are once again faced with the dilemma of Tesco value baked beans and Hyde's baked beans, and that's kind of how it felt. While they were both tasted the same, the packaging was very different.
Okay. I wouldn't call these Tesco basic. I'd say like Battle for Rokugan's more kind of like an Aldi kind of particular thing, which is an own brand thing, which tastes about as good as the actual thing.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with the taste.
No.
There's no taste issues here.
It's all personal taste as well, right?
But again, like for me,
so coming back from the analogy, what would you think was better value for money here? So you've got a game here which retails for around £30 to £35. Similar concept of that. This game retails from
60
to about £80, 60 to £80 for that.
Yeah. I would actually say if I went into a board game shop and I was going to pick one with my money and I had £80 in my pocket, that I would actually get this one.
Okay. And then you got like 50 quid to spend on whatever.
And then I've got 50 quid to go and spend on something else. Because actually, here's my point: you're not just buying the game. If most of you will buy the game, and you'll go, I cannot deal with the grey monsters, so you're gonna have to prime it, you're gonna have to paint it. You're probably gonna end up having to buy a broken token organiser to organise it. So it's not just an £80 game. It's £120, it's £150 game once all is said and done. And you have to have an awful lot of gameplay in order to get your value for money at that. And I just don't think there is £80 worth of gameplay or £120 worth of gameplay in this game. I think you would, while you probably would pay that less, you would get £30 worth of gameplay out of that game.
That's a really good point, really, because you're right. Like, you would probably get more value for money out of this. I think if I had £80 was in a board game shop, I had to choose. I could only get one. I'd get Rising Sun just because it looks cool, right? It looks cool. It plays well. It's easy to set up. But at the same time, I agree 100%. Like, if we're talking value for money, Battle for Rokugan, in no way is this poor man's Rising Sun. I think that's, they're very similar, but this felt more strategic when we were actually playing it. There was a lot more decisions to be made, I found. I think there's more analysis paralysis problems with this game you could find. Like, it took us longer for rounds.
It took longer, and it felt, and there was quite a lot going on in your round. When you have the analysis paralysis going on, it's very easy to forget what you played. And I think that is frustrating. But I'm still going back to my baked bean analogy that I would rather buy the cheaper beans.
Yeah.
Let's go with the Aldi beans for that.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool, so that was value for money. Fun. The fun factor. Why you play board games in the first place, right? So, which do you feel like was more fun?
This one.
Yeah?
I think any game that's emotive, I think any game that gets your heart pumping and you're out of the seat and you're just really excited and you think you're going to win and you know you're chasing it. And although I won this game, I didn't feel like I won the game. I feel like I bumbled through and got some victory despite not knowing what was going on entirely. Yet on this one, I understood it. I understood the mechanics. I got it.
And you knew why you lost.
And I knew why I lost. And I knew how to win. And I know the next time I play that it would be different and it would feel different. It would run differently. So yeah, for me, that's the most fun game out of the two. I'd have fun doing this game with this game because I'd be able to paint it and do all those other bits and pieces I like. But that, again, I don't think that's enough. I think if you buy a game and we go back to money for value, for fun, that's more fun than that.
Okay. I would agree with the fact that playing Battle for Rokugan, there were points where I was kind of sitting away from it and thinking, oh, this is really fun, we're having a good time, kind of, everyone's trying to have a strategy, we're picking on Will, which is always a great thing to do when we're playing games. We weren't really picking up. And Rising Sun, there was still some picking on Will happening there. But I think I mentioned in the previous one that there is the ability with the negotiations in Rising Sun to actually gang up on somebody. And I know if I was in a group of people and I was not getting any alliances with people, I wouldn't be having a fun time with that. Whereas Battle for Rokugan, it was every Daimyo for himself, right?
And there wasn't the ganging up mentality, although, I was winning towards the end. There was a little bit,
yeah,
but that's the strategy of the game, right?
And Will always brings up himself anyway.
And Will
he always makes the first attack, so it's on him. Okay, so fun-wise, we're thinking Battle for Rokugan kind of pips Rising Sun to the post. Although this wasn't not fun.
And I think if you're watching this and you're thinking we're saying this isn't a fun game, it is definitely a fun game.
It's a great game.
If I could own both of them, of course I would. But
I do.
Yeah, you do. But I just don't think if you're comparing the two, and we played them back to back, to me, if we could play a third game, I'd say let's play a third game with this one.
Yeah. What was the last question?
Which is the best?
Well, let's go down to that then. So,
which is the best?
It's tricky because they're both really good games. They're both very, very similar. When we did our last one, Lords of Hellas versus Scythe, I kind of felt there was a balancing issue with Scythe. Rising Sun has a potential for that because you have the whole alliance thing, so that could be unfun in that instance. But I enjoyed both games really well, but probably Battle for Rokugan seems... I don't know, I think I'm more likely to play this again in a group of people. Rising Sun, it looks great on the table, and I think out of the two games you were probably more excited about playing Rising Sun than you were playing this, which, interestingly, we played this first, so I was a little worried that Jamie would get to Battle for Rokugan and be like, I'm not really feeling this, I'd rather, we're doing that later. Yeah. But in the end, Battle for Rokugan was one you enjoyed more.
I enjoyed it more. I am absolutely torn because, I almost started this game, as you know. I picked it up a few times in the board game shop. I've looked at it. I almost bought a second-hand copy of it for 40 quid, which I thought was not bad. But actually, I kind of feel that I've saved myself some money because the best game at this table tonight has been this game. And it pains me because I have an issue with Fantasy Flight games. I find them sometimes I cannot stand their rulebook, I can't stand their balancing. I think if you look at Fallout, the game I was most excited about and was so upset that I didn't get the first issue copy, and then managed to get one, played it, and was just absolutely. I've played it twice now, and it is literally the worst game I have in my collection, and I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to buy another Fantasy Flight game. But this has brought it back for me. This has made me think, actually, Fantasy Flight, they're a bit hit and miss, but this is a hit.
Yeah, I agree. Fantasy Flight, they do tend to be very complicated games. Yeah. But yeah, I think this is one of the more simple games. It's cheap compared to the other stuff. I think it all comes down to personal preference. I couldn't particularly choose which one I play over the other, if I'm honest. But I think if you are someone who really enjoys miniatures and you enjoy something that looks cool on the table, Rising Sun does all of that, and it also does. The gameplay's really good in it as well. Whereas Battle for Rokugan, if you don't mind playing with token stuff, if you're more about the gameplay, then this is the game for you, really.
Yeah, and I think visually that's the visual game.
Definitely.
If you want the sexy game, you want people to come around and go, hey, this guy's got some really sexy games in his board game collection, then go for Rising Sun. If you want a game that you want people to come around, have a few beers, enjoy the evening and have a giggle, that's the game you want. Like Adam, it is hard to choose. It's a difficult choice, but the best game for me, and it still is the best game, is this game. And that really pains me to say, because when we came into this evening, I thought out of all the games it was going to be Rising Sun. you know, I'm a massive Cool Mini or Not fan. I mean, some of the games they've come out with, like Unfair and Arcade Quest, fantastic, and they've got a really good heritage. But I do think the hype was just more than the actual game.
Okay.
So there you go. So let all the dislikes and hate comments feed down below. But I don't care. I played the two this evening, and that's how I feel.
And these are all personal kind of
They
things
are
about this. It's
personal.
not, you know.
And the thing is you could play these games and you could have a very different opinion to us. Like board gaming is like anything, you know, it's very personal. People have different views. Some people are going to be really upset that we didn't find this game the best game. But it is what it is, and you know, one of my top 5 games is still Arcade Quest. That's still, you know, up there in my top 5, and still hasn't moved. So you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think overall both the games are really fun.
Yeah.
If you have the option to play either of them, do that. Yeah, that's about it, really.
That's about it. One last thing. Comment and like below and tell us what you think of these reviews. Whether you think that you want us to do some more of them, whether you think that we should hive this off from our Life in the Middle channel and actually set up a Life in the Middle die rolling YouTube channel to do some more of these reviews and review board games, or maybe you're just happy with them how they are. But we'd love to hear from you and love to get your thoughts and feedback. And if you've got a different viewpoint to us, make sure you comment below.
Hey, it's Will, the camera guy, the guy that's always picked on in video games. Make sure to click, like and subscribe to lifeinthemiddle.co.uk.